Welcome back to the TEFL Alumni Talk series, where we invite our graduates of the Teaching English as a Foreign Language program at the American University of Armenia. My name is Irshat Madyarov. I am the chair of the program, and today I'm excited to welcome our special guest, Addeh Hovassapian, who is Director of British Council Armenia. Welcome, Addeh.
Thank you, Irshat. Thank you so much for having me.
Interestingly, this year, the academic year, marks the 15th anniversary for both Addeh and me, since when he came to AUA as a student in the TEFL program. And for me, it was the first year of employment at AUA, for which I also was gifted this vest. So congratulations, Addeh.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here. Congratulations to you as well.
So tell us about your journey. I'm interested to know how you just briefly walked this journey from the time when you were a student here 15 years ago, 16 years ago, to becoming director of an international nonprofit organization.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, I joined AUA's TEFL program back in 2009, and I graduated in 2011. When I decided to join the TEFL program, I actually had made my mind that I'm going to be an English teacher and researcher. So when I started my studies, I started working as an English language teacher as well, which was very important for me because it helped me to translate my learning into practice, but probably more importantly, to shape my teacher identity. So when I graduated in 2011, I immediately started teaching. I think my first formal teaching job was at IPE Foundation, before even the IPE High School was constructed. And I started teaching a cohort of students who were preparing to get to the school. That job really paved the way for me to join IPE High School as a full-time English language teacher, which became my job for the next 3 years. A very rewarding experience working with young learners, trying to help them to improve their language proficiency. While working at IPE, I also had the opportunity to continue my collaboration with our department. I participated in a number of research projects, I presented in a number of conferences, and I also had the opportunity to be a teacher assistant or instructor assistant at the BA English and Communication program. It was only in 2014 when I learned about a vacancy in British Council Armenia. It was titled English Projects Manager. It sounded very exciting because it had the word English, which implied that there are certain aspects of English language teaching involved, but also it included project management, which is my other passion besides teaching. So I decided to try my chances and apply for the position, which I got it. And I became the English projects lead in British Council Armenia and worked in that position until 2019. In 2019, I got a promotion. I became a senior project manager of a multi-country, multi-year project, which was called Learning Hubs. And in 2022, I got a second promotion, again, a similar level, senior project manager role for another teacher development project management. And finally, in 2022, I became the country director for British Council Armenia. So it's been a long journey, but very much focused on English language teaching, teacher education, and the delivery of programs which help both teachers and learners to improve their English skills, both in terms of teaching and learning.
It was quite impressive, actually. It's been 15 years, unbelievable how fast time flies. Could you recollect of remember any of the challenges on the way?
You mean challenges in terms of moving up the ladder
yes,
and trying
exactly.
to, taking up different positions? Well, as I said, my main objective when I took up the program, MATEFL program, was to really become an academic person. I wanted to stay in the academic area, do research studies, do teaching, but also contribute to the field. So becoming a project manager in the field was a complete change of plans, and it was very abrupt change for me. And when I joined the position, I think the main challenge was that while I was feeling confident in terms of knowledge and competencies related to English language teaching or teacher education, I early on identified a lot of gaps in terms of understanding the corporate world and how you should comply to all the standards that exist within that system. So that was one main challenge that I had to overcome very quickly, because the job required me to start a couple of projects very quickly and make sure that I'm compliant in terms of corporate standards and requirements. Of course, if you're a good teacher, I believe you have a set of skills which are transferable. All of us as teachers deal with problems. We try to be creative. We try to communicate effectively, make relationships. So these were the kind of skills that I managed to quickly transfer and upskill and use it within my work. But of course, there are things that you can only learn when you are in the job. And of course, in the British Council, there is a very nurturing culture of supporting newly joining colleagues, which I received as well. And I was supported locally and by the regional colleagues to understand how the British Council is functioning. The British Council is a huge, complex organization, and you need at least 6 months to understand how it functions and why it functions the way it functions. So yeah, it was difficult at the beginning in the sense that as a teacher, as an academic person, you probably lack some pragmatic skills in terms of project management, in terms of relationship building with the state and private sector and stuff like that. But then throughout time, you manage to quickly upskill and learn.
And as a segue, and I started talking more about British Council, many of our listeners, those that follow us in social media, obviously being teachers, those interested in teaching English, are familiar with British Council to some extent. But still, I think it would be helpful if you could highlight, perhaps starting with the mission, what are some of the main objectives specifically for Armenia?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, many people know the British Council, or a lot of Armenians know the British Council, but they know it just because they either want to learn English or they want to take the test. But British Council is more than English language teaching and assessment. The British Council is the UK's international organization for cultural relations. It has physical presence and relations in more than 100 countries. And in Armenia, we've been operating since 2001. So we are relatively young, but our mission in Armenia is to support Armenia's development by creating or building mutual connections, trust, and relationship between the people of the UK and Armenia. We do this by focusing in 3 main areas. English is just one of them. So English language is one key area, but we also focus on education and arts and culture. And basically what we try to do is to create opportunities for individuals to interact with the UK's expertise and experience in these areas and be able to develop in these specific areas. Now, our mission or vision in Armenia is to really help concrete reforms and strengthening of systems in English, education, arts and culture, as I said, with the hope that it will lead to inclusive and evidence-based decision-making at system level. So if I want to expand on what we do, our work in English is really about right now, and I need to highlight this fact that actually our portfolio is very much evolving. So we don't do the same thing every year or every couple of years. We adjust our portfolio based on the existing and emerging needs. And currently what we focus on are the following. Our work in English is really about supporting the reform in the teachers, teacher educators, and school leaders attestation system. And also we want to support widespread and quality English language teaching in Armenia. We consider English language as a powerful tool to connect with the outside world and creating alternative opportunities both for the young and adults. In education, our priority is supporting Armenia's higher education internationalization. And for that, we work with the Ministry of Education to support transnational education in its different shapes and formats. We want to make sure that there are opportunities for higher education institutions in Armenia to have sustainable and scalable partnerships with the UK universities so that our students will have access to these educational opportunities as well. And of course, we work in arts and culture sector. Again, at policy level, we try to support arts and cultural heritage strategy in the government, but also we try to create collaborative artistic exchange opportunities. And last but not least, we are the co-owner of IELTS, English Language Testing, International English Language Testing System, and we offer it to thousands of candidates every year, providing them opportunity to showcase their language ability and as a result get access to better educational and career opportunities. I think this is the portfolio which is evolving all the time, but I think what is important to highlight is that at the core of everything we do are people, and all of our work is underpinned with our inclusivity, equality, and diversity principles, which basically means that every time we deliver a program, we try to reach new people, we try to reach vulnerable people, we try to reach minority people or people with disabilities or young women, and make sure that everybody has equal opportunity to take part in our programs.
Addeh, tell us about some of the accomplishments, specifically within the British Council, your career track at British Council, that you're most proud of.
Oh, it's very, very difficult to pinpoint. You see, what I love about my job or my work in the British Council is that it provides you with a privileged position to make a difference, a meaningful difference. So you're in a position that you can come up with projects or deliver projects which will impact hundreds of thousands of young learners or adults. So it is very rewarding in that sense, and that's why it's very difficult to pinpoint a specific project. But if I have to pick,
maybe an initiative, not something like routine, something that you have to continue on.
I think I'm going to name a couple of projects which have had very wide scale impact. The first one is the Learning Hubs project. We delivered this. It was called Learning Hubs. We delivered it from 2019 to 2022. This was a multi-country, multi-year project, but it was very successful in Armenia. And the whole idea was that we went to state schools of Armenia in all regions, and we created these learning hubs. Learning hubs are not new buildings or infrastructure. They were basically simple classrooms in state schools, and we just refurbished them and provided them with IT and teaching learning resources. And we enabled the teachers to offer extracurricular English and core skills lessons for the learners. This was hugely successful because it really changed teaching and learning culture in the schools where we had these learning hubs. But not only in those schools, because we use them as hubs, as the name suggests. And satellite schools were able to make use of the same resources and the programs that we offer. Basically, this program was very successful because it engaged, over the period of 3 years, something like 5,000 learners were able to improve their English language proficiency after the school hours. They also were able to improve their core skills of problem solving, creative thinking, communication, by taking part in different projects and activities. That's one example because it really functioned on economy of scale, meaning that a lot of people benefited. Learning Hubs project also helped us to create our very first network of teacher activity groups, or the communities of practice. We created these communities of practice to enable the teachers to come together within the same community, highlight the problems they're facing, and also come up with solutions. This really strengthened the communities and for the first time helped the teachers to understand that they're not alone. Because very often we have one teacher in one school, while in the community we had many teachers.
Roughly how many teachers now do you have in this network through the Learning Hub initiative?
If you're talking about teacher activity groups, we actually have moved now from the face-to-face teacher activity groups to the online teacher community. As of now, I can claim that we have worked with more than 1,200 teachers, which is approximately 90% of English language teachers in Armenia. So at the initial stages, the numbers were around 500, but then when we moved to online platform, we managed to engage more because of removal of restriction in terms of time, space, and the way we delivered the program. So that was a huge success, and I call it a success again, not only because it was successful at the time we delivered, but also it continues to live even though we have wrapped up the project. The learning hubs are still in the schools. The developed capacity of teachers are still there, and the resources are still there. So the students continue benefiting from the project in terms of everything that we invested in terms of both skills, resources, and also change of teaching that happened in the classrooms. So that's one example. Another example potentially could be the new continuing professional development framework that we have developed for the Ministry of Education, and now is the backbone of the reform that is happening. The idea was that we wanted to offer a continuing process of development for the teachers. We want the teachers to take responsibility for their own professional development and again, strengthen their identity and agency rather than somebody else comes and tells you what you need to do or how you need to develop. Exactly. They take responsibility for themselves. And this new CPD framework that we have proposed allows the teachers to do self-evaluation, allows the teachers to understand their own profile, and as a result have a jagged profile. They understand that they have strengths in certain areas, they need to develop in certain other areas, and know where to invest their time and energy. Something which was not possible because previously it was just one size fits all. So you get one offer and you have to take it. So this is also another success story which is being implemented, acknowledging that it's very difficult.
By the ministry, in
by
fact.
the Ministry of Education. Of course, it's easier to put it on the paper, but when you come to implementation, there are a lot of challenges, regulatory, or even in terms of the reality on the ground. But I think it is something that we have to be patient to see the outcomes, and I hope the teachers will benefit from it as well.
It's a cool project, actually. I think colleagues here at AUA have applied for one of the British Council grants to investigate English teachers in Armenia using this CPD model, and I really agree with you that I think it's a very cool project in terms of how it frames teacher professional development.
Yeah, if I may add, the framework is really about making sure that the teachers understand what they do in the classroom. Most of the teachers are doing what is described in the framework, but this framework arbitrarily provides them with an understanding of, okay, this is the kind of professional practices I need to have or I have, and these are the areas that I can develop. And if I want to move up the ladder in specific areas, these are the things that I can do. So it basically breaks down the teaching practice. We understand a little bit artificially, but in a manageable way for them to be able to plan their professional development rather than, abstractly try to plan things and never achieve their objectives.
It makes it very personable also, very much they can pick and choose what is it that they want to focus on. Tell us about, because British Council has a high-level understanding of what happens specifically in teacher education, in learning English in Armenia. I'm curious to know what you think are the key challenges right now in Armenia in the TEFL field.
You see, I've been with the British Council for 11 years now, 8 years as English and Education Projects Manager, 3 years as Country Director. And every time we have delivered a program for English language teachers in Armenia, after seeing their excitement around the work that we do and their commitment to be part of it, I've came to the same conclusion that there are a couple of key problems that now are being addressed, but that's the key. And these are very subjective, to be honest, in my personal opinion. I've always believed that we don't have good or bad teachers. We have teachers with good and bad professional development opportunities. Based on the work we've done in the regions of Armenia, wherever we have offered quality professional development opportunity, we have had the full commitment of the teachers and immediate implementation of them. So I think if we want to improve English language teaching in Armenia per se, but any other subject, we have to offer quality professional development opportunity for the teachers, and I'm sure teachers will take it up.
That's a challenge.
I think we don't have, but we are doing a great work towards having it. So this new CPD framework aims at improving the quality of what we offer as well. It's not about only planning the professional development, but also changing the way we offer professional development for the teachers. And I think that's a work in progress, but I believe we didn't used to have it, to be honest. The second problem possibly is the fact that what we see in the classroom delivered or done by the teachers is a reflection of what they got, again, either within their education or professional development. So again, I think we definitely need to revise some of the work that is being done to educate our teachers and how they need to educate their own students. With all due respect for the enormous work that is being done in the pedagogical universities and the American University of Armenia. But I think their experience is reflected in their practice. And if they have a good experience, then we have a good education. If they have not so good experience, then the learners are going to be experiencing that. I think another area which is very often ignored is the assessment system that we have in the schools, specifically for English language. No matter how teachers try to be communicative, teach their students, use the language for the sake of communication, move away from grammar and vocabulary, the kind of problems that we know exist. When they come to the stage that they have to prepare their students for the final exams, the nature of the exam, the design and structure of exam with its backwash effect is affecting the whole teaching process. So I think if we had the opportunity to visit the unified examination system, then it would potentially have a very positive backwash impact on the teaching of the teachers and push them away from focusing on the areas which are not so critical when it comes to communication. And of course, one last point would be the teachers' working conditions, which is again being revised and being improved at this stage. But obviously, teachers are challenged in terms of the number of students they have in the classroom, the number of hours they have to teach English, and the number of hours they have to spend out of the classroom to get prepared or do all the work to be prepared in the classroom. So I think if we can address some of these areas, which actually is being done right now, we can see some improvements in overall teaching quality.
So in general, you're saying that we're moving in the right direction as a field in Armenia?
Yeah, my feeling is that the right decisions are being made, the right policies are being put in place. I don't say that they're flawless. There are a lot of challenges that needs to be get over. But the thing is that the Ministry of Education, as the body who's responsible, is definitely considering how they can improve the situation for the teachers.
I want to ask a few not very serious questions.
Sure.
What does your day look like at British Council? A typical one. I don't know if there's such a thing as a typical day at British Council.
No, I don't have a typical day. Yeah, that's a question I get a lot, and I don't remember answering it the same way. But the thing is that in the British Council, my main role is to steer our portfolio and make sure that our vision is meeting the existing or emerging needs. So, and since we are functioning in a very volatile context, I say it's never boring. You get up in the morning and things have changed, so you have to adapt constantly. So I don't have typical days, but well, if I want to highlight what I do, I can divide it into three parts. So my job is about doing a little bit of deep work. Deep work meaning that since our portfolio is very diverse, we are functioning in English, education, arts and culture. And I'm not expert in all these areas. I have to make sure that I do a lot of reading in terms of understanding what is happening, what are the trends, what are the innovations, and as a result be on top of the game and make sure that I can see the implications for our country context. I attend a lot of meetings face-to-face and online. These are very important because I use them either to maintain the relationship I have or build new ones. And most of these relationships are helping me with delivery of the programs or coming up with new opportunities. I also spend a lot of time housekeeping. As the country director, I'm responsible to make sure that our operation is running smoothly. This means working with my staff and making sure that they're engaged, that they're motivated, they're delivering what we're supposed to deliver. It's a lot of financial and operational overseeing. And of course, it also means that I have to make sure that what we deliver, as I said, our vision and our portfolio is very much aligned to the both corporate strategy, but also the country needs. So my typical day is really about, doing deep work, meeting people, discussing things, and then taking care of the business.
Sounds like fun. Quite a lot of diversity during the day. What do you do for fun outside your British Council work, any professional engagement?
Well, if I have time for fun, honestly, recently everything is causing me a lot of fun if I don't work, to be honest. So it could be simply watching a movie, it could be reading a book, a good cup of coffee. But I think what I'm enjoying most right now is my cutest project, my twins. I spend a lot of time with them, playing with them, and they help me to just be present and enjoy the process of seeing them grow up and becoming who they are. So yeah, my twins.
Parenting experience. Yeah. Thank you, Addeh. I wish you all the best in your personal parenting life. As well as the British Council, we'll look forward to new accomplishments, and thank you so much for everything you do for TEFL and for Armenia.
No, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the opportunity.
So this concludes our interview with Addeh Hovassapian, Director of British Council, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.